Detroit is shifting gears right now. The kind of move you feel in your chest before you see it on a transaction wire. The kind of move that tells every guy in that locker room the window isn't a someday conversation. It's open today, with cold air and urgency blowing straight through Allen Park. And I'm here to walk you inside it before anyone else turns on the lights. Welcome back to Lions News Fan Report. The deadline sits there on the calendar like a 2-minute warning, November 4, and the league knows Brad Holmes isn't waiting for help to arrive in March. The Lions have called around on edge help because the story of this defense has been simple. When we get heat with 4, everything else in Aaron Glenn's plan tightens up. Coverage gets aggressive, run fits get cleaner, takeaways spike. When the rush ebbs, we've needed to manufacture pressure with games and creepers, and that opens other windows. You've watched it with me. Aiden Hutchinson drawing chip help and slide calls every week, Aleem McNeil collapsing the pocket inside, and then we've asked the other edge to win in isolation, set a firm edge versus zone, and close with urgency when quarterbacks hitch. Depth matters here. Josh Paschal has all the tools, but his availability and snap management fluctuate week to week, and Al-Quadin Mohammed has been a professional, steady hand. What pushes this group from good to playoff-proof is one more body who knows exactly how to play the B-gap to C-gap games, squeeze the pocket without losing contain, and turn cleanup opportunities into finishes. That's the assignment. Now, front office logic. You don't burn premium capital for a luxury. You use a surgical, low-risk play for a rotational finisher who can step in tomorrow, speak the language, and give you 20 to 30 purposeful snaps. The deal has to fit the cap grid today and the core extensions tomorrow. It has to be cheap enough to keep the 2026 and 2027 plan intact and impactful enough to bump the pass rush win rate on money downs right now. If the cost is a late-round dart and a pro-rated base that doesn't restrict you from adding a DB or a special teams ace in the same window, that's real business. Fit in scheme is non-negotiable. In Detroit, your edge doesn't freelance. He works within a plan that stresses rush lane integrity, cage the QB principles, and deliberate hand usage. We want a guy who wins with play strength, inside counter, and smart angles more than pure track speed, because the quarterbacks we face down the stretch live on second reaction. We want someone who survived real NFL downs, who can drop on a simulated pressure without panic, who understands how Hutch's alignment dictates the slide and how that slide dictates his one-on-one. We want a pro. Here's the profile that keeps coming back to me in meetings and tape cut-ups. Veteran edge with starting experience, comfortable as a rotational closer, motor that runs hot in the fourth quarter, and a contract that expires after the season so you're paying for the sprint, not the marathon. Production this year? Modest on paper. Single-digit pressures, a couple of sacks, but context matters when you've been playing on a team living behind the sticks and chasing games. Put that same rusher next to a blue chip like Hutch and a pocket crusher like McNeil, and you're suddenly looking at cleaner one-on-ones, more long-yarded snaps, and a defensive line that can rush with a plan instead of rushing with hope. That's where this gets real. I'm going to give you the outline of the actual move because the math lines up and the football does too. A deadline swing for a proven rotational edge whose market is cooled enough that you're not fighting 5 teams for him. A guy who's been in big buildings, knows how to study protections, and won't blink in January. The compensation lives in the sweet spot. Think a 2026 6th-round pick, not the house. And the money is manageable because you're taking on a pro-rated slice of a base number in the final year of his deal, roughly in the $3 million neighborhood for the rest of the season. That's textbook Holmes. Protect premium assets, boost the floor of a critical room, and raise the ceiling of your best player by clearing the junk that protections keep throwing at him. Roll on day one would be straightforward. Early downs when you want length and edge setting, sub-packages when you want fresh legs and a plan. Long arm to widen the cackle, inside counter when the guard oversets to help, and a finish mindset when the QB hitches. With Hutch commanding extra attention, you build games that punish the slide. TE and ET stunts coordinated with McNeil, and you let this new piece work as the penetrator or the looper depending on formation and back depth. On 3rd and 6 to 3rd and 10, you're hunting interior edges and forcing quarterbacks to climb into bodies instead of escape. Special note on the run, this isn't a pure sprinter. It's a technician who understands how to wrong arm versus split zone and how to spill to help when the back bounces. That's how you cut explosives and get the ball back to the offense. Now let me take you to the film room, because tape tells you who a player is when the microphone is off. The rusher I'm talking about plays with disciplined hands, stab to the chest, roll the hips, rip through, and he never loses sight of the upfield shoulder. He's not going to win the combine, but he wins Tuesday through Saturday, and he shows up on Sunday with pro moves, not just effort. When he lands the long arm, tackles stop their feet. When guards set flat, he has the lateral quickness to cross their face. Quarterbacks feel him even when he doesn't get home, and defensive coordinators love guys who force offenses to call different protections than they want. That matters in January when teams start living in their bread and butter calls and you need a counterpunch ready. All of this leads to the name that's been circulating in the hallways and sitting on the whiteboard with a thick underline. The move the Lions are lining up, the one that checks fit, cost, role, and timing, is a deadline strike for Titans edge Arden Key. I know the instant reaction in the box score crowd. The raw numbers this season don't scream splash. But look at usage, look at game scripts, look at the Titan situation. Key still generates 9 pressures and 2 sacks in a defense that has been on the field too long and playing from behind too often. Drop him into Detroit's rotation and tell him exactly who he is. Our closer on the opposite edge, our inside counter on 3rd and long, our glue on rush lane discipline, and you'll see the ripple effect by the second week. Hutchison sees cleaner one-on-ones, McNeil cleans up when the QB slides, coverage plays on schedule, you get off the field. That's the chain reaction. The deal structure is as clean as it gets. Final contract year, pro-rated base around $3 million after the deadline, no guarantees beyond this sprint, and you're parting with a 2026 sixth-rounder that you can replace with comp picks if you continue drafting and developing the way this front office has. You're not closing the door on a bigger move if the board flips. You're not boxing yourself out of an extension for your core. You are, however, telling that locker room that their work is being matched by the front office with action, not quotes. And that's how cultures get sticky. Let's talk fit in our room. Hutch sets the tone, relentless, violent hands, non-stop motor. Pascal, when rolling, brings heavy hands and inside power. Alquadin Mohammed is the steady pro. Arden Key slots right between them, savvy vet who understands sequencing, strong enough to dent a tackle's chest, patient enough to counter when the set gets wide. He'll take 25 snaps and make them feel like 40 because he plays the moments that matter. He's played in hostile buildings, he's played through nicks, and he doesn't need to be sold on who we are. He just needs to be pointed at the problem and told to go fix it. That's Detroit football. Strategy down the stretch, you don't chase sacks, you engineer stops. With Key, Glenn can call more 4-man rushes on money downs, lean into simulated pressures to bait protection without bleeding bodies from coverage, and keep the secondary from living on islands longer than necessary. You also improve your rest defense in the red zone. Edges who can squeeze the pocket and still tackle the quarterback on boot keep points off the board. And when January weather turns the game into a contest of leverage and will, a veteran who knows how to play heavy and straight can be the difference between 3rd and goal from the 8 and a field goal try from the 12. Before I close, I want you in the huddle with me. Tell me what you think of this move right now. Do you see Key as that smart, low-cost, high-leverage addition that lets Hutch take over games when it counts? Or would you push chips for a pricier, splashier name and risk the long view? Drop your take below, tell me your preferred trade structure, tell me who you'd bump on the game day active to make the rotation work. This channel breathes because you bring real football talk every day. My read is straightforward and it comes from watching this team with clear eyes. Arden Key to Detroit at the deadline is the kind of disciplined, adult move that raises the pass rush today without borrowing from tomorrow, and it fits the way the Lions win football games. Method, trust, and pressure at the right time. If you're with me, lock in, subscribe, hit the notifications, and stay here for quick hits and deep dive breakdowns as the clock ticks toward November 4. We'll be back the moment this flips from planning to paperwork, and when it does, you'll already know why it works. Because we just walked the path together, step by step, like a team that knows where it's going.